Hi friends, so welcome you all to the first class of my masterclass series, and just a minute, still we have few more participants to come. So please tell me, shall we start or should we wait for another 5 minutes? You can please type your views in the chat box adjacent to the window. Okay, so let's wait for another 2 or 5 minutes. All right. Good afternoon, Shilpa. Good afternoon, Jagdish Babu, Doctor. Good afternoon, Dr. Prachi, Dr. Amit, Dr. Abhishek, Dr. Prajapati, Dr. Riddhi Jain. So right now it's 1:07. I'm going to start my presentation by sharp 1:10. All right, after another 2 minutes. All right, friends, there is a poll which is attached with my presentation, and I'm going to share it after 10 minutes of my presentation. So I request you all to fill the form, to fill the survey form. It's going to help me out in assessing your views. Okay, so just few seconds more, and then I'm going to start with my presentation. Hi everyone, good afternoon, Dr. Amit, Dr. Nupur, Dr. Abir, Dr. Ronit, Dr. Alok Pathak, Dr. Pooja Shri, and Dr. Vaishali. Okay, so I'm going to start with my presentation now. Friends, good afternoon everyone. I'm Dr. Niharika and I'm a microendodontist from Jabalpur. Okay, so today I'm going to take the first session of my class on biomechanics of rotary endodontics, basically biomechanical principle which guide rotary endodontics. And this class is going to be on every Sunday from today itself, starting from today itself, from 1 to 2. This is also been on, I mean, the people who have not registered on Zoom can also watch the video on live on Facebook, because you know we have a limit of registrations in this meeting. So today is the first session, and in this class I'm talking about speed and torque. You know, I mean, I know like 99% of people of dentists are practicing rotary endodontics these days. All right. So when we talk about rotary endodontics, we talk about the file, we talk about the endomotors, and the market is full of endomotors and rotary files these days, or reciprocating file these days. But there are some things which we should know when we talk about the system or the endomotor, or you say the bread and butter of dentistry. This is speed and torque. Speed, at what speed the file works, what are the principles controlling the speed, and how can the speed control the cutting efficiency of the file. Also the torque. Torque is something which guides the speed. So in today's session, I'm going to talk about speed and torque and how these factors or principles affect the prognosis and life of the file in the canal, and how these factors are guided by endomotors. So let me tell you what is torque. Torque is basically the measurement of force or the amount of force which causes an object to rotate about its own axis. This is the very basic definition of torque. You can see a ball which is rotating around its axis. Axis is the center of rotation and the ball is rotating around that particular axis. So the force, the amount of force which keeps the ball rotating is known as torque. Force has a linear component, or there is a linear force. Linear force pushes or pulls an object, like you open a door or you close a door. So that becomes a linear force. Okay. When you rotate a top, a rotating top, what do? You rotate the top holding from its tip. So when you try to twist or rotate, this particular type of force generated is known as torque. And how do you define or measure torque? Torque is calculated, or this is known by a multiplication or by the amount of force which is acting on an object multiplied by the diameter or distance from the axis of rotation till the direction of force. That is known as torque. Okay, the unit is Newton's meter. In endodontics, we measure torque as Newton centimeter because the amount is very less. Because less force is required and the surface area is pretty less. So torque in endodontics is the apical force in the canal which causes the file to rotate inside the canal. All right. This is the torque in root canals. According to Marzok and Gross, torque of a handpiece is the ability of that handpiece to withstand lateral pressure from the surrounding dentine on the revolving tool without decreasing its speed or reducing its cutting efficiency. That is known as torque. But to be more precise, torque is the force in root canal. This is the apical force which is directed inside the canal, which causes the file to rotate inside the canal without the file being fractured, while maintaining its cutting efficiency on the surrounding dentinal walls. Each and every word of this phrase is very important. That means the file rotates inside the canal. The amount of force which is required to rotate the file is the torque, in a manner that the file is not fractured. It maintains its cutting efficiency on the surrounding dentinal wall. Look at this diagram. And this is your torque. Torque is the amount of force you apply on the file to rotate the file inside the canal. When torque is applied or rotational force is applied, and we all know that according to third law of Newton, every action has a reaction. So what happens? The dentinal wall exerts forces or mechanical resistance to this particular file when it rotates. All right, and this force which is generated by the radicular dentine on the surface of the file is known as reactionary torque. So you have a torque and you have a reactionary torque. Please don't get confused between these two words. Torque is something the endomotor applies, and reactionary torque is something the forces applied, the resistance applied by the radicular dentine surfaces on the file. All right. So torque is applied on the file, and from where does the torque comes? It comes from the endomotor. The endomotor generates the torque and the file produces the torque. I'll show you how. This is the endomotor. You put a file inside it. Okay. This is the endomotor I use in my routine practice. And look at this. All right. See, the file is rotating. So the endomotor produces torque. The file takes the torque and rotates. All right. Now the amount of force distributed is equal through the entire length of the file. The torque at the tip of the file and the torque at the handle of the file will be same. But reactionary torque at the tip of the file and at the handle of the file or the shank of the file is different. Okay. So coming back to this point, you apply torque on the file through the endomotor, and in return of this torque, reactionary torque is produced by the radicular dentinal walls. So when torque is equal to reactionary torque, what is going to happen? File stops rotating. When torque is more than reactionary torque, what will happen? I'm sorry, this has been changed a little bit. Just a minute, please. Okay, so when torque is more than your reactionary torque, what is going to happen? The file will rotate. Okay, reactionary torque is less, torque is more, so the file will rotate inside the canal. But on the contrary, when the reactionary torque is more, that means resistance is more and torque is less. You apply 6 Newton force and the radicular denting generates 8 Newton force. So the file will fracture, file cannot rotate. Okay, so how is the torque calculated? Torque of a file is basically the amount of force, apical force acting on the file, which is multiplied by the radius of the file. And any force which is more than the rotating force or the torque will stop the file from rotating. Next, torque is the inherent quality of a file. So torque of a file depends upon the cross-section design. What is the cross section of the file? How much wide is the file? How much larger is the file? Or how much narrower is the file? It depends upon metallurgy of the file. It depends upon the tip size of the file, and it also depends upon the taper of the file. I'll tell you how. So as I mentioned, your endomotor generates the torque, your file takes the torque, and the file rotates with that specific torque. So look at this. You can see here the program is M4. File is moving in a clockwise direction. Speed is 300 RPM and torque is 1 Newton per centimeter. Okay, so 1 Newton per centimeter is the amount of torque which is set in the endomotor, and this force is taken up by the file. Okay. Okay. All right. So coming back to the next slide. Now let's see. There are instruments which work on high torque. Now let us assume that there is an instrument, suppose X instrument, and it's working on high torque. That means the instruments really takes a lot of force. Okay, it's working on a very high force. So what is going to happen when a lot of rotational force or high torque is applied to that instrument? It cuts very well. It cuts the surrounding dentine in a beautiful way. That means it has a high cutting efficiency. But what is going to happen when you cut inside the canal? Suddenly, at one point, the file may bind itself, or the tip of the file may get locked inside at any of the point on the radicular dentine. So at that particular point, the instrument may lock, the instrument may deform, and the instrument may separate. Why does deformation occurs? Because of high torque, the file is continuously subjected to a lot of tensile and compressive stresses. All right. Now let's assume we have an instrument which has a low torque. Suppose we have an instrument, say Y. It's working on a very low torque, around 1 Newton per centimeter. So at a low torque, or let's say if I have an instrument X and the instrument is supposed to work at 6 Newton per centimeter, but it is working on 1 Newton per centimeter. That means it has a reduced cutting efficiency. It doesn't cut only because the instrument doesn't rotate easily. You don't get that force. You don't give the sufficient force to cut the radicular denting. So the instrument doesn't rotate, it doesn't cut effectively, and it doesn't progress inside the canal because it doesn't get the desired amount of force. So you're not able to progress the file gradually inside the canal. So what is happening? You are pushing it again and again. You are applying more pressure through your hands, through your palm. So because of these more apical forces, the file may break. All right. So instruments have their own specific torque, which is decided by the metallurgy, by the cross section, by the diameter and the taper of the file. Like smaller and lesser taper. If files are very small and less taper, narrow files, they require less force, less rotational force. That means they require low torque values. On the contrary, if you have a larger file means the file is extremely large, it is bulky and it has a greater taper. Like you say you have around 40 number file or 50 number file or 35 number file. In rotaries you have 40 number file, okay? 46%, 48% larger and bulkier files, they require more torque values because they are more larger. It's something like you have, there are two types of personalities. You have a very thin person and you have a very fat person. Okay. When you're pushing a very thin person through a door or through a narrow passage, you require very less force to push that person who is extremely thin and weak. But when you want to push a person who is strong, who is fat, you require a lot of force. So this is how your torque value changes. All right. Now look at this. Downside, I'm showing you four type of files. The first file is one flare. Okay, this is used to open the orifices or enlarge the orifices. Sorry, they are orifice openers or orifice enlargers. So they are basically sturdy files and they are wider files. Okay, thicker files. So the tip diameter is 0.25 and the taper is 9%. Okay, at 9% taper, the file requires 3 Newton per centimeter torque value. This is in contrast to 1G. 1G is a beautiful file system by Micromega, which is marketed by Bombay Dental. And 1G has a tip diameter of 0.14, all right, tip size of 0.14 and a taper of 3%. So look at the difference. 1G requires lesser torque, whereas one flare requires higher torque. Okay. Second, one flare is basically used to enlarge the orifice, so you require more force because there are no curvatures, there are no complex anatomies in the coronal 1/3 of the root canal, so you can use a larger torque also. But 1G is used to maintain a glide path, to establish a glide path. So you require a very less torque, very less rotational force, so that your file can move easily inside the complex root canal anatomical structures. All right. Then you have shaping files. This is TWO2, two shape files. Now these shaping files work with an RPM of 250 to 400 and they work with a torque of 2.5 to 4 Newton per centimeter. So the torque value is again high because of the wider taper and wider tip size or wider files. Now let's look at the straight and curved canals. When the canals are straight, you can easily use your larger files. You don't have to think about using thinner files like 50 number or 20 number. You can use till 30 or 40 number. When a larger file is used, the instrument locking is less common because the canal is straight. There are no complex anatomies. That means there are less stresses on the file. The file goes on very smoothly inside the canal because the canal is devoid of any complexities. It is a simple straight canal. So in such cases, you can use files with more torque values. All right. What happens with experience, you might also learn to adjust the torque of a file according to the shape of the file. Suppose you are using a TS1 file. Now TS1 file has a specific torque of 2.5 Newton per centimeter. All right. So if you're using in a straight canal, you want to work fast, or if you want to work fast, you can increase the torque also, because by tactile sensation you can say whether the canal is straight or whether the canal is curved. You can increase the speed, you can increase the torque, which is more than the recommended value. But this is not for beginners. I again say this is not for beginners. Once you get the hang of rotary system, once you start practicing rotary system, you can feel the tactile sensations also by your rotary file. Then you can adjust the torque values. All right. Now coming to curved canals or calcified canals. In curved canals or calcified canals, you need smaller files. This we all know. You can't think about using a 40 number file or a 50 number file or a 30 number file in an extremely calcified or curved canal. We limit the preparation to 25 number file maximum. Now, when you're using a smaller file, the instrument locking is also very common because the canals are calcified and they are curved. So your instrument may bind at any of the curvature. So there are more stresses on the file. The file is subjected to more compressive stress, to more tensile stress because of complex anatomical structure of the canal. And henceforth, you should always use the files which have low torque values. Don't use a file which have high torque values. Otherwise, what will happen? You are pushing a file inside the canal, and if you subject the file to high torque values, that means you are subjecting the file to high rotational forces, the file may fracture, and this is known as torsional fracture. Okay. So let's see this diagram. I'm pretty sure you must all have come across this diagram somewhere during these webinar times. This is a very common diagram, and this is a very nice diagram taken from one of the famous manuscripts. This diagram shows that our rotary files or reciprocating files, which are made from NiTi, they are subjected to shape memory and superelasticity. So when the file is in martensitic phase, MS is the phase where the martensitic phase starts, and MF is the point where the martensite phase stops. So in the martensitic phase, the file is absolutely elastic. It can take the stress and it can deform in a smooth manner. The file is safe. Then there is a transition phase from martensite to austenite. So when the transition phase occurs, or when the file enters the transition phase, the file fractures. In austenite phase, the file is no more in superelasticity. The file fractures. So your file has an elastic limit. Within that particular elastic limit, the file is absolutely safe. Now look at this file. Okay, can you see? Suppose this file has an elastic limit of 6 Newton per centimeter. Elastic torque, I should say. That means till 6 Newton per centimeter, or when you apply a rotating force of 6 Newton per centimeter or less than 6 Newton per centimeter, the file is absolutely safe. It will rotate and it will negotiate curved canals easily. But as soon as the torque value reaches 6 Newton per centimeter, this is the marginal value. Okay, the file will again rotate and negotiate curved canal. But if the torque value exceeds 6, Suppose it becomes 6.1, the file starts to deform. It becomes 6.2 and somewhere around 6.3 or 7, the limit is decided by manufacturer. I am just giving you an example. So as the limit crosses the elastic limit of the file, as the torque crosses the elastic limit of the file is not able to deform, the file is not able to bear the stresses. It undergoes plastic or permanent deformation, which is a type of fracture, which leads to fracture of the file. So, and in this diagram, you can see that different files have a different torque values. You can see in this rectangular bar, this different files have different torque values. And as I mentioned, the torque values are decided by manufacturer. If you're going to alter the torque values, you should be well versed with the tactile sensation of the file and the anatomy of the canal. So the torque control hand pieces or all the endomotors which have torque control, they take in consideration the maximum torque of a file below the safe limit. This is the elastic limit. This is the limit beyond which permanent deformation or fracture of the file occurs. So look at this diagram, this slide. There is a gear ratio, there is a torque, and this is the speed. Suppose the torque is 5 Newton per centimeter. So the torque values lower than the torque at the fracture instruments can be set on the torque control hand pieces. Whenever manufacturer, they give us the torque value, okay? Suppose they give a torque value of 3 Newton per centimeter. That means the file is safe till 3 Newton per centimeter. But beyond 3 Newton per centimeter, the file may fracture. Alright. So whenever you are adjusting on the endomotor, it should be less than 3 Newton per centimeter. So when we talk about endomotors, there are 4 generations of endomotor. The first generation was without torque control. So there was a lot of breakage when they used endomotors with rotary file because there was no controlling force only. If the speed is 1000 RPM, the file would rotate in 1000 RPM only. So progression of the file inside the canal was extremely difficult. Then there was second generation endomotor with torque limiter. They limited the amount of torque produced. Third generation endomotor with simple torque control. That means they controlled the amount of torque produced. I'm going to show you how in the future slides. Then fourth generation was an endomotor with an integrated apex locator and a torque control system. I'm going to talk about torque control system later. So let's see, there are 2 types of endomotors with torque control. One endomotor is endomotor with a high torque setting. The other one is an endomotor with a low torque setting. Low torque setting means up to 1 Newton per centimeter or even less than 1 Newton per centimeter. These days, high torque motor, high torque endomotors are available. These days low torque endomotors are available. Now, a lot of studies have been done, and it was found that torque at fracture or the torque at the point of fracture for sizes 15, 25, and 35 number rotary files were respectively 0.22, 0.49, and 1.27. Okay. So imagine with a 25 number rotary file with 4% taper, NiTi rotary file, the torque at fracture was 0.49. That means when 0.49 Newton centimeter was applied, the file fractured. Okay. Torsional resistance or resistance to rotate of instrument or torque at the point of fracture, that was measured at D3. Okay, in most of the instruments was reported less than 1 Newton per centimeter. Now imagine if you are using a high torque motor generates around 10 Newton per centimeter. You are subjecting the file to 10 Newton per centimeter torque value. When the same file rotates inside the canal with the same torque values, imagine what is going to happen. that particular file cannot bear any load beyond 1 Newton per centimeter, and you are applying a load of 10 Newton per centimeter. So what? The file will fracture, and that is known as torsional fracture. That is your torsional fracture. So what is the solution to this problem? The solution is to use a low torque endomotor. Now, low torque endomotors are basically those endomotors which have a lower limit of torque values. Like, look at this. Control is another beautiful endomotor by Micromega, and the torque control value is 0.5 to 4 Newton per centimeter. So your files are extremely safe. Why? Because these days most of the file they have a lower torque values. So low torque endomotors, they operates below the maximum permissible torque limit of each and every rotary instrument. That means if the permissible limit is 3, at 3 Newton per centimeter, the file is extremely safe. It is in the elastic limit. It is in the state of elastic deformation. So you can use a low torque endomotor. So in the low torque endomotor, the torque is set just below the elastic limit for each instrument. Suppose a file has a torque limit or an elastic limit of 6 Newton per centimeter or 2 Newton per centimeter, you can easily limit the torque to 1.8 Newton per centimeter. Then it generates less mechanical stresses on the file because low amount of torque is applied on the file, or less rotational forces applied on the file. Henceforth, it reduces the chances of file deformation and separation. Why? Because the file is subjected to less compression, tensile forces. It is subjected to less mechanical stresses from the surrounding radicular denting. That means the reactionary torque is also less. Now, when we talk about torque control endomotors, as soon as the instrument specific torque is sensed by the endomotor, that means you put a file inside the canal, the file has a torque limit of 3 Newton per centimeter, and as soon as the torque reaches to 3 Newton per centimeter, which is sensed by the endomotor generates a system by which the file stops automatically. That means the endomotor stops. This is a function of auto stop. You can see in most of the endomotors. Or the endomotor senses the high torque values, then the motor of the endomotor starts rotating counterclockwise so that the file comes out from the canal. Okay, and this is your auto reverse function. You got it? The file may either stop inside the canal when the torque values are higher than the elastic limit, or the file may take a counterclockwise turn and move out of the canal. This is your auto reverse function in the endomotor. Now look at this diagram. The file moves inside the canal. Look at this. It has reached 0.6 Newton per centimeter. The torque, the endomotor generates a torque of 1 Newton per centimeter. Then the endomotor senses the torque at 1.2 Newton per centimeter. This is the torque limit set, and this limit is below the elastic limit of the file. You know, there is one more thing. In this diagram, the torque level set is 1.2 Newton per centimeter. That means the elastic limit of the file must be more than 1.2 Newton per centimeter. Why? Because there are rotational forces which are applied from your hand also. Your hand also pushes the file inside the canal, contributing to higher apical forces. So the total amount of force acting on the file through the handpiece must be 1.4, 1.5 or 1.3, which is actually lesser than the elastic limit of the file. Alright? Now, there is one more function, that is optimum torque reverse motion, or OTR, or you can say it is adaptive torque reverse, ATR motion. Okay, So what happens when the motor rotates the file continuously in clockwise direction? If the amount of torque acting on the file exceeds a predetermined value. Suppose you have set the number to 1.2 as I showed you in the previous diagram. Okay, the torque value set is 1.2. Now the torque exceeds 1.2. It must be 1.3 or 1.25 or 1.28. Any value which is more than 1.20. The rotation reverses to alternating 90-degree clockwise. That means the file engages by 1/4 quarter turn, and then half a turn rotation. The file disengages the dentine by 90 degree, and again it moves forward by 180 degrees. It moves back by 90 degrees. Again it moves forward by 180 degree unless the torque falls below the predetermined value. This is a smart technology. Okay. So this is known as torque provoked reversal of the direction of rotation so as to minimize the torque or the rotational force acting on the file in such a manner to prevent separation of the file inside the canal. So what are the advantages of this OTR motion? One, it generates significantly lower maximum torque. It reduces the cyclic stresses on the file, and both these factors reduces instrument fatigue and finally prevents fracture of the instruments. At the same time, it improves cutting efficiency also because the file moves in a reciprocating motion. So that enhances the cutting efficiency of the file. This function has also been incorporated in one of the motors by Woodpecker, and this is the motor which I normally use in my routine practice, and I've been using this endo motor from past 1.5 years. And if somebody asks me which endo motor would I recommend, I would recommend to use this endo motor because I've been using this endo motor. Okay, so let me show you this one. Look at this. This is how it moves. You can see it moves 180 degree forwards, 240 degree backward. Like this. It moves counterclockwise, then clockwise. Counterclockwise, then clockwise until unless the torque limit falls below the sense torque or the existing torque values. There is another function known as apical torque reduction. That means when the torque value enhances or it is exceeding, the motor will automatically reduce the torque values. Okay, and this system can be seen in eConnect Pro Endo motor. So now let's talk about high torque motors also. In high torque motors, the applied forces are very high. Imagine 10 Newton centimeter forces or 8 Newton per centimeter forces are applied on the endo motor, and these forces are applied through the endo motor on the file. So instrument specific torque limit or elastic limit is often exceeded because, as I mentioned in my previous slide, the elastic limit of most of the instrument is somewhere less than 1 Newton per centimeter or up till 1 Newton per centimeter. So as the elastic limit is crossed, there are enhanced chances of intracanal failure or intracanal separation of the rotary instrument. So now let's say we are shaping calcified canals or narrow canals. So what is the most common problem? If you are using a file with a high torque value, suppose I'm going to use this file. Okay. The recommended torque value of this file is 1.2 Newton per centimeter. Just imagine. Now, if I'm going to use a high torque value of 3 Newton per centimeter, so what is going to happen? When the file is rotating inside the canal, Because of high rotational forces produced by the endomotor, the tip of the file may get blocked or engage itself into the dentine. Now, this tip is subjected to high level of stresses. The reactionary torque is more. Stresses here means reactionary torque. So reactionary torque will be more, and because of high reactionary torque, what is going to happen? There will be a torsional fracture of the instrument or rotary instrument separation inside the root canal. So it is always wise to work at the recommended torque as a beginner. Okay. So the clinical tip here is choose endomotor with low torque values where you have a minimal range also, like Control that has a minimal range of 0.5 Newton per centimeter, and choose instrument specific torque values only. Please don't think, okay, this instrument I'm going to work at 3 Newton per centimeter. No, you're doing a big blunder. Set the instrument specific torque on later on. With experience and with the tactile sensation of the canal, you can change the torque values. See, the recommended speed to be applied here is 1.2 Newton per centimeter. You can increase the torque by 1 to 1.5 or 2. You cannot increase the torque to 3 or 4. That is a big blunder. So you should always work with torque specific values. Now, let's come to next important point is speed. This is a very basic thing. In Milky Way, you see planets and satellites, planets revolving around the sun. This is revolution. Revolution means the planets revolve around the sun. Okay, and this is rotation. Rotation means the movement of a object around its own axis. In other words, it is the collective movement of all the atoms or all the molecules around the axis of rotation. Okay. So rotational speed is defined as rate of rotation around the axis. How much the instrument rotates around its axis. Look here. This is how it rotates. Okay. Just a minute. I'm going to show it in the system. This is rotation. See, rotation of the file around its axis. This is not revolution. So rotational speed of motor is defined as the number of rotations generated around the center axis, central axis, center of mass. And rotational speed of an endomotor is defined as the number of rotations which are generated by the endomotor on the particular file system around the central axis of the file system. Unit is revolutions per minute. So please don't get confused between rotation and revolution. Okay. The recommended RPM for most rotary files is somewhere between 250 to 500 RPM. Now, as we all know, speed is directly related to cutting efficiency. More is the speed, more will be the cutting efficiency. And speed is inversely related to the torque value. That means you apply a high torque value, your speed will be less. You apply a low torque value, the speed will be high. If speed is more, suppose the instrument is rotating around 500 RPM. That means it is taking 500 rotations in 1 minute. Okay. So the amount of torque required is less to produce the same effect, and henceforth your file is safe. Now, if speed is less, around 300 RPM, and if the speed is less, so you can use a higher torque value to enhance the speed. But if you are using a higher torque value to enhance the speed, the file will rotate again at a higher rate. Okay, so the file may fracture. But what happens if you use instruments at a higher speed? Their cutting efficiency will be really good, but there is increased deformation rate because the instrument is subjected to more compressive and tensile stresses. There is a reduced time for stress relaxation. The speed is extremely high, say 500 or 1000 RPM. The instrument doesn't get time to drain off or remove the stresses created on the surface of the file. There are enhanced chances of taper lock because the file is moving at a really great pace, and there is precocious fatigue of the metal. That means the metal may fatigue very early before giving any sign. Also, there is less tactile sensation because of high speed. You cannot assess the anatomy of the canal, and there may be a change in the canal anatomy leading to like apical transportation zipping or other iatrogenic errors. So it is always recommended to keep the speed of night-eye rotaries very low, around 300 RPM or even less. But practically what happens, this was a concept that was followed long back. But what happened when you keep the cutting efficiency really less, when you keep the speed really less, you are reducing the cutting efficiency. Even though these files, or even though less of speed enhances the cyclic fatigue of the file, cyclic resistance of the file, or there is less cyclic fatigue, the file doesn't break easily because of low speed, but the cutting efficiency is compromised. Okay, so the tip here is you should always use files which are made of heat treated alloys. Why? Because when you use a file of heat treated alloys, made up of heat treated alloys like M wire, T wire technology or R phase, this enhances the cyclic resistance of the file. Okay, I repeat it again. When the speed is less, the cutting efficiency enhances. When the speed is less, the cutting efficiency reduces, but the cyclic resistance enhances. The file's longevity increases. You can use the file for a number of cases, but the cutting efficiency is really compromised. So the parameter here is make a wiser decision, use heat treated alloys. Okay, why you use heat treated alloys? Because of this, the cyclic fatigue is reduced. Okay, the files can be used for a number of cases because of better alloy treatment. And you should always use the file for a shorter duration. Do not keep on using the file inside the canal for 1 minute or 2 minutes. No, you put the file inside the canal in short pecking motions, 1, 2, unless you reach the working length. Once you reach the working length, take the file outside. Take it out of the canal. Do not keep the file moving again and again inside the canal. All right. So now let's come to the third and the final part of the discussion. This is gear ratio. What is gear ratio? Every motor has a gear ratio. Gear ratio means number of revolutions input generated by the endomotor, generated by the motor, and number of revolutions produced by the motor, or number of revolutions output by the motor. So generation divided by production is the gear ratio. I'm sure not much or not many of you must be knowing that hand pieces are color coded. What is the relevance of the color codings of hand pieces? This is the gear ratio. Okay, the instruments, the hand pieces are color coded by their gear ratios. Let me tell you how. There are instruments or hand pieces which have red ring. Red ring means speed increasing gear ratios. Okay, example 1:2, 1:5 or 1:7. That means the endomotor generates 100 RPM, but your handpiece will generate 200 RPM. This is 1:2. 1:5 means the endomotor or the motor generates 1000 RPM, but your handpiece will increase the speed to 5000 RPM. Okay, 1:7 means the motor will generate 1000 RPM, but the handpiece will change that 1000 to 7000 RPM. And where do you use these handpieces? It's a simple common sense question. These hand pieces are commonly used to cut the dentine, during crown cutting, during preparations. So in the speed increasing handpiece will increase the speed as per the gear ratio. 1:20, 1:15, 1:30. That is your red ring handpieces. Now, again I'm giving you an example. Suppose the maximum RPM which can be produced by a electric micromotor is somewhere around 40,000 to 45,000. Electrical handpieces, they have a gear ratio of 1:5. That means the micromotor will generate RPM of 40,000, but the handpiece will convert that 40,000 to 20,000 RPM. Okay, coming to blue ring. Blue ring produces the same RPM as that of a motor. For example, your micromotor is set at a value of 300 RPM, or take it 10,000 RPM. So when you apply a blue ring contra angle handpiece or a blue ring handpiece, they will produce around 10,000 RPM only. Alright. So these particular handpieces are basically used with Kateskinen and piezo ring. Then you have a green ring handpiece, or a handpiece which has a green ring. What does that mean? It is a speed reduction ratio. That means the input speed, the motor produces a speed of 4,000 RPM, but the handpiece will reduce the speed to 1,000 RPM. That is 4:1. If the motor produces a speed of 10,000 RPM, the handpiece will automatically reduce that speed to 1,000 RPM. Similarly, you have 16:1 and 20:1. And these handpieces are used for shaping, negotiation of canals, or to establish glide path also, because they are speed reducing handpiece, and henceforth they deliver low speed RPMs to your canal when used with files. Now look at this. You can see in the display box, speed is 300 RPM and gear ratio is 20:1, or gear ratio is 16:1. Again, some of the endomotors have an option to alter the gear ratio. You can see here, you can alter the gear ratio. Now let's see here. Gear ratio in this is 16:1. Rotational speed is 300 RPM. That means what? The generated speed is 4800 RPM. Endomotor generates 4800 RPM, but the output speed is only 300 RPM. The speed which is displayed on the OLED screen or the screen of the endomotor is the speed which is generated on the tip of the file or on the file. Okay, let me show you this. It's actually ulta. This is 300 RPM. Now, let us come back to the screen again. 300 RPM means the speed produced by the endomotor into the handpiece. Okay. Now, if we are going to use a handpiece with 16:1 gear ratio, so what is going to happen? The RPM generated or the speed generated by endomotor is 4800, but handpiece converts that 4800 to 300. Okay. Now, if we use a handpiece with 1:1 gear ratio, that means the speed generated by the endomotor is 4800, but through the handpiece, it delivers 4800 RPM only, because the gear ratio of the handpiece is 1:1. Don't worry about the gear ratio which is displayed on the panel. This gear ratio of handpiece is important. Now, look at this. Here the gear ratio is 1:1. Okay. Speed generated or speed produced. Speed generated on the handpiece by the endomotor is 300. All right. Look at this screen only. Just forget what is written here. The gear ratio is 1:1. Speed generated by the endomotor on the handpiece is 300. That means what is the amount of speed produced by the endomotor? It is 300 RPM only because the gear ratio is 1:1. Okay. So if we are going to use a handpiece with 1:1 gear ratio, how much will the handpiece produce? It will produce again 300 RPM speed. But if we are going to use a handpiece with 16:1 ratio, then what will be the output RPM? It's going to be only 19. Why? Because the endomotor is producing 300 RPM, but the handpiece is reducing that 300 RPM by a ratio of 1 divided by 16. That comes out to be roughly 18.75, which is nearly 19 RPM. Okay. So this is a very important tip, that display settings of the gear ratio on the screen of the endomotor should be same as the ratio displayed as the ratio of the handpiece. Forget about speed. Check the gear ratio. Check the gear ratio of the endomotor. Assess how much your endomotor is producing speed, is generating speed, and how much is the output speed from the endomotor to the handpiece, and how much speed that handpiece is taking from the endomotor and converting, or putting it on that file. So that is more important. So whenever you are buying an endomotor, this thing is really important. Use a handpiece with the same gear ratio of an endomotor. That is why it's always better to use these type of endomotors where you have a handpiece attached. Okay, now coming to these reciprocation handpiece or speed reducing handpieces. This is a gyrometric handpiece. This was used somewhere around 1970s, but recently this is not in use these days. And it used to produce a 90-degree rotation movement. That means it used to move like this: 90-degree clockwise, 90-degree counterclockwise, 90-degree clockwise, 90-degree counterclockwise. The maximum speed was 300 RPM. M4 safety handpiece. This is a good handpiece by Cybron Endo. This is a push button handpiece. The motion is 30-degree clockwise, 30-degree anti-clockwise. You know what is the principle behind this 30-degree clockwise and 30-degree anti-clockwise? This basically represents your watch winding motion produced by your hands. Balanced force technique, the watch winding motion. Okay, this moves like 30 degrees clockwise, 30 degrees anti-clockwise. So your files are absolutely safe and your canals are safe, deprived of any iatrogenic error produced. The gear ratio is 4:1 and maximum speed is 10,000 RPM. That means if you are using your micromotor and you set the reading at 40,000 RPM. Okay. If you attach this handpiece to your micromotor, how much is the RPM by the micromotor? That is 40,000. So how much this handpiece will produce? It's going to produce only 10,000. You got it? So at maximum speed on the micromotor, this speed will be, the speed produced by the handpiece is only going to be 10,000 RPM. So this is a 4:1 gear ratio handpiece. Now, there is another handpiece by NSK, and this has a 10-degree reduction gear ratio, 10:1. That means you attach it to your micromotor, and if you set the limit to 40,000 RPM or the maximum limit of micromotor, since the gear ratio is 10:1, the output RPM is only going to be 44,000. Okay, 40,000 divided by 10, that comes out to be only 4,000. So these handpieces have a push button. You can use your hand files, and maximum speed is 4,000. All right. Now this is the handpiece what I am using in my routine practice daily, and this is a K400 handpiece. Very nice, very good results, quite economical also as compared to the previous ones. This is a push button handpiece like the previous ones, and in this handpiece you can attach your hand files. This handpiece works in a 30-degree reciprocating action, like 30-degree clockwise, 30-degree anti-clockwise, 30-degree clockwise, 30-degree anti-clockwise. So like this, it completes a full circle. So this mimics the watch winding action in a balanced force technique. The recommended speed is 400 to 3000 RPM. Initially, you can use it till 800 RPM, but later on with practice, you can use it at a higher speed. Now again, 3000 RPM means this has a gear ratio of 10:1. The speed on the micromotor should be 30,000. Okay, if the speed is 30,000, you use the handpiece. How much will be the output speed? It's going to be 30 divided by 10, 3000 RPM. Okay, so this handpiece can be used with your micromotor or air motor connection. The maximum speed of air motor is 20,000 RPM. So it can be used with either of them. And I mean, there are two types of handpieces. If this particular thing is used with micromotor or air motor, this is known as K400. And if it is used with an endomotor, it comes in the gear ratio of 1:1. And then it is known as M400. This is marketed exclusively by Bombay Dental, and you can contact them if you want this. So how should we use these handpieces? These handpieces are basically used to negotiate calcified canals. Secondly, they are used to establish glide path. And how do you use it? You prepare an initial glide path, or you establish patency of the canal, you do scouting of the canal with an initial 8 and 10 number file. Then instead of using 15 and 20 number file with your hands, you can use 15 and 20 number K file directly with the handpiece. You can pre-curve it if you want. That is an additive feature of the canal of the handpiece. And 5 to 7 in and out strokes are sufficient. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 7 in and out strokes are sufficient, and 10 to 15 seconds per canal is more than enough. Do not keep on using the file with this particular handpiece inside the canal for a longer duration. The advantages of K400 and other reciprocating handpieces are that with this handpiece, there is less file separation because the file is subjected to less stresses, efficient cutting. You are using a watch winding motion, you are using a balanced force technique, and because of watch winding motion, the cutting efficiency is really high, is really good, and the preparation is faster. Less chances of any iatrogenic errors also, because you are engaging or cutting the dentin, then you are disengaging the dentin. You are engaging and you are disengaging. So in this motion, less stresses are applied on the file, and less mechanical stresses are applied on the radicular dentin also. Okay, so now there are a couple of handpieces, as I mentioned, in the market available, reciprocating handpieces. Some are with 90 degree, as I showed you, and some are with 30 degrees. So this is a very difficult question for dental surgeons to decide that which handpiece should be taken. Should we buy a handpiece with a 60 degree rotation, 90 degree rotation, or a 30 degree rotation? I'm sorry, I could not quote the article from which I took it. Okay, but studies have suggested that torsional stresses or compressive and bending and flexural stresses are lower when angles are smaller. Suppose you are using a 30 degree angle wala reciprocating handpiece that produces less stresses on the file in comparison to the handpiece with a 90 degrees or more than that. Even studies have shown that a 30 degree reciprocating handpiece produces a near to equal watch winding motion when used with hand filing. So really, if you are using a handpiece with a smaller reciprocating angle, that is anytime better when you compare it with a high reciprocating angle handpiece. So the tip is use reciprocating handpiece with lesser degree of reciprocating movements. 30 degrees preferred over 60 or 90 degrees. So let's come to the final slide. When we choose endomotors, first thing, high speed and high torque, a big no. Do not buy endomotors, okay? Where you don't have a choice of low speed and low torque adjustment, okay? Why? Because the file is moving at a high speed, you are applying more rotational force, the file may fracture. Second, high speed and low torque. High speed and low torque means the file is really moving at a higher speed, but rotational force is less. So you can use it, but this is This is very complex when you use in curved canals. Why? Because of higher speed, the file may get locked in the radicular dentine surrounding the file. And because of this locking mechanism, the file may be subjected to deformation and finally fracture. So this is very risky in cases of curved canals or in cases of calcified canals. When we say low speed and high torque, no. No, low speed and high torque means speed is around, it's moving like this, but you are applying a lot of force, so the file will absolutely fracture. It's going to fracture definitely inside the canal. So the ideal thing is use a low speed, use low torque. But yes, when it comes to this point, high speed and low torque, you can use it, but you have to be precise with the metallurgy of the file. That means if the file is made up of heat-treated alloys, the file is manufactured after electropolishing, you can go for this particular, parameters. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope the session was useful, and you can follow me here, and the next session is going to be on next Sunday from 1 to 2, and in the next session I'm going to discuss about metallurgy of the file, different phases of the file, where you have a R phase, you have M phase, you have T-wire technology, what is basically austenite, what is martensite, and what is the chemistry of the file or the mechanical properties of the file in these phases. And after that session, again, I'm going to take a session on movement kinematics of the file, like reciprocation, rotation, adaptive technologies. And finally, I'm going to combine everything in my last session, where I'm going to talk about the reasons why the files separate and how you can choose a particular file inside the canal without the chances of separation. So yes, friends, there is a poll also. Please, I am launching my poll. I request everyone to go through the poll and, fill the questions there. It's going to be really helpful for me. By the time, I'm going to start with the question and answer sessions. So you can post your questions here in the chat box. Okay, there is a question from Dr. Jagdish Babu. He asked, ma'am, what is the importance of gear ratio and what should be the ideal gear ratio we need to select while we are buying an endomotor? Dr. Jagdish, as I mentioned, the gear ratio of the handpiece should be same as that of an endomotor. Okay, if it is same, this is not your headache. The manufacturer will give you a specific gear ratio. Okay, and gear ratio has nothing to do with the rotary file as such, because gear ratio gives you an amount of speed and torque you require, and that speed and torque is already decided by the manufacturer. Okay, more questions? Any more questions? Any one of you? That's all? I again request everyone to please fill the form before I close the session. Yes, Dr. Jagdish, the Facebook link, you can go on my page on Facebook, and there I have shared it. I'm going to share it on YouTube also. By the time you're going to fill the form, I'm just taking you back to a few slides again. Just a minute. No idea about of eConnect Pro. Yes, Dr. Amit, Bombay Dental has this endomotor, Endomatic, which I mentioned. I'm using it from past 1.5 years, and this motor has ATR function. So you can please contact Bombay Dental team. they have this endomotor with ATR function. Just a minute, I forgot to mention something. Just taking you back. What are the recommendations for speed and torque? Is it should be same as the manufacturer or should be altered? Yes, as I mentioned, see, every file has a torque limit and every file has a speed limit. Both of these things depends upon the file, exclusively on the file. Okay, but there is one more thing. When we talk about endodontics, there is a tooth and there is a file. So speed and torque 90%. Okay, it depends upon the file itself, decided by the manufacturer, but it depends upon the radicular-dentine condition also. So ideally, I would suggest you, Dr. Atul, please be specific with speed and torque as mentioned by the manufacturer. And once you get the hang of rotary endodontics, once you are able to tactile, you are able to sense the canal anatomy, then you can play with speed and torque values. Okay, protocol, which one do you recommend? Rotational or reciprocation motion for longer file duration used without fracture? There are a lot of articles, Dr. Manisha, which says rotation is better. There are articles which says reciprocation is better, and there are articles which says rotation and reciprocation both are good. But with advanced metallurgy, I would say rotation is quite beneficial in comparison to reciprocation motion. Which book to refer for better understanding? Please go to your basics again. Open textbook of endodontics, Pathways of Pulp by Dr. Stephen Cohen. You can also read a textbook by Dr. Arnold Castellucci for better understanding. Dr. Harshi, my webinar is going to be live on Facebook. It's there on Facebook, watch party, so you can please watch it. Okay, I want to tell you one thing again. Yeah, this is the point where I missed. If torque is more than your applied torque, okay. So what is going to happen? If torque is more, the file will rotate, and if torque is less, then the file will fracture. Please go through these points. So you can also follow me on my Facebook channel and YouTube channel. You can subscribe my YouTube channel for better link for more updates on endodontics.